Hello and welcome to Chatcave Podcast, where we walk you through a movie, ramble on about stuff about 99% times is not related to the movie, and then give our opinion on the movie in general. I'm the winner of the Host of the Year awards. You know, your greatest host of Drag King, Thomas Hughes.
Well, I'm back again. I didn't want to, but apparently I signed a contract. I didn't remember doing that.
Yeah, 20 more contracts.
Yeah.
Can you read the fine print?
You know I can't read.
That's why I told you not. That's why I said, you should read the fine print. So I knew you couldn't read it. And you'd be like, okay.
I didn't realise I was signing a contract. I thought I was signing an autograph.
Yes, it definitely was autographs. Can you also sign these autographs for me right here? They're for James' birthday next year. I want you to write, love Hayden, James, you're a twat.
Sounds reasonable. If only I could write.
I'll just get the Tipex on the love and the James is a twat, and we've got ourselves a contract. Oh shit, I'm on still. Anyway, today we're starting our year fresh off with a month of sharp movies. So we'll.
Are you sure you didn't win an Oscar award as well for that acting? Wow.
Anyway, so we'll kick off by discussing Deep Blue Sea, released in 1999. The movie was directed by Finnish director Renny Harlin, who directed the Jackie Chan movie Skip Trace, A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, 12 Rounds, the one with John Cena, Cliffhanger, the one with Stallone, and Die Hard 2. Wow. Quite a caliber there. Horror, action, Jackie Chan movie. It's actually a good movie.
What the fuck happened here then?
A lot of really bad CGI, that's what happened.
And some other stuff as well.
The movie stars Thomas Jane, who is one of my favourite actors out there. Yeah. He has been in films such as The Mist, The Punisher, The Predator, and TV series The Expanse and Hung. A fun little fact that I read a little while ago, I think it was on IMDb. He was actually the first choice to play Rick Grimes in The Walking Dead. But I think like scheduling or something fucked him over, and basically, obviously, he skipped on it and he went to Andrew Lincoln instead.
Right, can't get a guy who does action films. Let's get this guy who does Love Actually.
And that English TV show from years and years ago called Teachers. What else we got? We also have Saffron Burrows from Troy, The Bank Job, and TV shows such as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She's done a few episodes of that. Mozart in the Jungle, and You. We also have another great actor in the form of Samuel L. Jackson, who we covered last year in Free Time, Chat Cave award-winning podcast, The Other Guys. Kong Skull Island with 0 awards there. And Kingsman Secret Service with 0 awards there. He has also been in, I'm hoping I haven't said these already, but The Legend of Tarzan, The Hateful Eight, and Big Game.
Yeah.
We also have rapper LL Cool J, who is well known for the TV series NCIS Los Angeles, which he's been a part of since 2009, I believe I read. He's also appeared in the he was in the crossover the spin-off they did. He's from he was in like an episode or two of the Base show, and then they crossed it over and did like a Los Angeles series as another show, and he went into that alongside the guy who played Robin in this really crap 2 Batman movies with Val Kilmer and George Clooney, which we want to talk about.
Oh God!
The guy who played Robin's in them, and I was like, wait, what? And the guy from that film we watched last week or the week before, sorry, that dance one, the guy with the curly hair.
Oh yeah.
He's also in Los Angeles. He's one of the main characters. He also appeared in a crossover episode over on Hawaii Five-0, since it's set in the same universe, because there's a massive fucking CBS huge ass universe which includes every fucking like cop show they've ever done. It's like a little MCU on TV that isn't superhero based. It's actually just police based.
It almost rivals the Brooklyn Nine-Nine and New Girl universe.
Pretty much.
Or the Jesse Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh God, we won't talk about that. A year before this, he starred in Halloween H2O, which redefined the entire Halloween franchise. And Lastly, we have Stellan Skarsgård, who is well known for his role as Eric Selvig in the MCU, as well as being a part of the critically acclaimed Chernobyl miniseries. I can't get my words out, as usual. He's also the dad of Alexander Skarsgård, who starred opposite Samuel L. Jackson in Tarzan. He's also the dad of Pennywise himself, Bill Skarsgård. Thought I'd, put some interesting facts out there.
Yeah, it took me a while to realise when you said H2O, you talked about the Halloween film and not the
not
Australian TV series
not that.
Nightmare.
No, not that. The Halloween one.
I'm still stuck in the Phoebe Tonkin head. So.
The one I sent you the image of before, the really bad CGI mask. That one.
Yeah.
He's in there. He gets shot in that, and somehow survives a headshot. Don't know why. He just does.
What about Cleo?
Yeah, I think that covers most of the bases. So the movie focuses on a research station that is trying to find the cure for Alzheimer's through mako sharks. But these 3 sharks begin to cause trouble and force the group of survivors to fight for their lives to escape the sinking facility and the jaws of death. No pun intended. So let's kick this straight off then. Cue the titles. That's not the right theme song.
Wrong one. No.
Okay, so
Warner Bros. One. Do. Every time I see the Warner Bros. Logo, all I can think of is Thomas Tank Engine, and I don't know why.
Did they make Thomas Tank Engine movie?
It was an American one, I think.
I know they did a movie, but I don't know if it was Warner Brothers.
I don't know why. Every time I always think of that logo, the old zoom in logo, that zooms out.
Yeah.
I always stick to that. There's Thomas Tank Engine.
I don't know.
I don't know why.
That's just you. You're talking about ear love. Your messed up mind. Let's get straight into the sense that the movie opens with a very Jaws-like, ending of the main theme song. It starts off, not Jaws-esque, and at the end it goes dun dun dun. Pretty much, it's like, wait, you just ripped off Jaws with that theme song there.
Totally just a homage. Totally not a rip-off.
Yeah, the first bit of it's fine. It's not really like Jaws-esque. It's sort of like this like tense sort of music. But I mean, the ending is clearly like a Jaws theme song. It's clearly the same, like the dun 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 dun. John Williams, well done for winning the award last week. Well done for beating Scooby-Doo 2. Hayden's choice.
I was robbed.
Wait, you weren't robbed. Scooby-Doo 2 was robbed in your eyes. Well, you can be happy though. You technically won a award. It won, thumbnail.
That's true.
So, it beat like some movies that got fuck all.
And you can be glad Dora won something.
Yeah, one thing.
Although
there's one thing is plenty.
Although Dora is not hitting the same anymore this year. I don't know why.
Is it not? We've only just started this year. We haven't even got into the actual part of the movie. We've just been talking about the theme song. Already, it's not kicking for you.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's really weird. Maybe we'll find out the reason why at some point in the year.
Yeah, when we totally haven't gone to look for the list and pick one.
Shh! Don't tell them your secrets. So we pan over the top of a small boat before we go under the water, as the title reveals itself. We then go onto the boat and see a couple making out, as you do, before another cut under the water as the music starts to play, before another cut above the water to more making out. And the boat begins to rock, and not in the way they want. Which of course is the one woman to worry and get up and move over to the other couple making out. And now they're all together, about to have an orgy. Oh, sorry, no, just having a little conversation. My mind went somewhere then, which the movie did not. They're having this conversation like, whoa, why is the boat rocking? And the boat rocking causes the wine to roll over and spill into the water, making the water red like blood.
As we all know that sharks are attracted to wine.
I think it's just for the fact that there's no blood in the water. They're like, oh, fuck it, let's chuck some wine in. There you go. No, it's red, that'll do.
It makes no sense why it summons the sharks, but
No, I think it was already going after him anyway. which sort of explains later on that he targeted and whatnot. So it's just that's just the way of this, like, showcasing the blood in the water, even though there's no blood. But either way, it's meant to look like blood and look nice. But moving on, the boat rocks some more before something starts trying to burst out from underneath, sending the radio and a poor little teddy bear overboard. The group then watch on as the shark bursts through the boat, sending them all into the water. The shark at this point looks great because it's an example of the practical effects side of the movie. Less we talk about the CGI, the better.
And the acting at some points, Jesus Christ.
Some points is a bit naff, but there's some other points where you're like, it was alright. It's like one of those hit or miss kind of acting movies. Because you always get
it takes so long for them to get the message across. It's like, was that it? All that just for you to say that? Wow.
But you got a lot there scene.
I mean,
cringy as fuck that was.
Not long died, literally.
I've lost my train of thought. So obviously they're in the water now, and they're like, "Oh shit, we're about to die." They're trying to climb on through a rope back onto the boat, but they can't. The shark gets close and close, but before it gets up close and personal with them, it's hit with a small harpoon sort of thing. He calls it something else later on. It's one or the other. So it gets shot through its back, stopping it from getting closer. We then meet their saviour and our first protagonist, a shark hunter who goes by the name of Carter Blake. He's played by the great Thomas Jane. He watches on his catch and the kids before we cut away. We then begin to follow a helicopter heading towards the city. The helicopter lands on a building and out steps our second protagonist. And I just did the wrong second fingers there. I did the backwards one. Fuck you! Dr. Susan McAllister, played by Saffron Burrows. She heads towards the building before we cut inside and she drops a paper on the desk. She then says they've had issues at the facility, but they are so close to reactivating the human brain cell. She's talking to the investor of the facility, Russell Franklin, played by the also great Samuel L. Jackson. He tells her that he won't be funding anymore, and come when the stocks markets reopen, that the place is toast, they're done. And she angrily walks out, but she stops before and asks him if he's ever known anyone with Alzheimer's. He says no, but she tells him a story about her dad and how her mom had to watch as he basically slowly died. She then asks to be given till Monday to finish the project that will skyrocket his stocks. She then tells him, basically, it's his call, do what you want, and she leaves. And then we follow a small plane flying over the ocean. And inside, we see Russell is going with Susan, who's actually flying the plane. He tells her he was impressed by what she said regarding, all what she, basically standing up for the company and saying, give us time, we'll get this done. He was impressed by that, her initiative, I believe the word is after her.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay. I read about what happened to you in the Himalayas. It's actually the Alps. And obviously we now get a small little overview of, what happened. If they're just having fun, things went bad. It's like, yeah, but you saved all those people. It's like, yeah, but there's the ones I did not save. They're like, okay, it's a sore subject, moving on. They finally arrive at the facility. It definitely wasn't about cannibalism or murdering people, but we'll get, definitely nothing to do with that. Obviously there she gives an explanation about the Navy using this facility in World War II for refueling, and basically they pimped it out with, underwater labs and whatnot. They nerded it out, basically. And Russell's definition of this is it's, basic Alcatraz.
Yeah, basically.
And then we cut down to the actual Alcatraz side of it, where we see Carter helping with the shark he brought in, which up close looks, again, really real. The two men talk about it being a 12-footer and that it has a license plate wedged in its mouth before they drop it in the water. I mean, the practical side of this film just looks great. It kind of reminds me of... It kind of reminds me of Bait, the sharp practical side of it. And then again, the CGI side of it reminds me of Bait in the sense that it does not the greatest, but I will say Bait has the better CGI. But then again, that film was made in 2012. This is a 1999 movie. What do you expect?
Yeah.
Pre-2000
Although,
CGI.
although, think about it. There was that one scene where the shark looked awful.
Which one?
The one where basically it's quite later on they pull the big genetically engineered one, and the back of it makes it look like a fucking orca. It looked like the rubbery skin. It looked awful.
I think I might have been typing at that point. I don't think I was watching that bit. I think I looked down to quickly type. I was like, oh, okay, type before I forget. Type before I forget. I probably wasn't paying attention. If I rewatch it, I'll look at the back and go, oh, okay, I see what you mean. But
otherwise, think of the Hulk.
Oh God, that bad was it? I've seen this movie a million times, but then again, I've never actually just fully sat down and had to focus on what was going on. So when you do, obviously you'll spot stuff like that, and I'm definitely gonna have to watch it again just to spot that. But I will say one thing, Hayden. You may be obviously I've got a feeling you're gonna badly slate this, and it's overall at the end. I will say you may change your mind in badly slating it when you watch Deep Blue Sea 2. Think of Jaws. This one being Jaws in a sense, and the next one being Jaws: The Revenge.
So I'd say this is probably more like the second one, where it was good enough to watch, but
in your view, yes. In my view, it's Jaws. Well, not as like high caliber as Jaws, but Jaws-esque. And then you got Jaws: Revenge. It's sort of like that patterning for me. It should not have been made, the second one, basically. Fuck you, sci-fi movie, for finally making it after how many years was it? Like less than 20 years. Phew. That film doesn't even have anything practical, if I remember correctly. It's just all CGI and it looks bad. Anyway, where were we? We now cut into the plane landing, I believe it is, where Russell meets Janice Higgins, played by Jacqueline McKenzie, I believe that's how you pronounce the first name. She welcomes him, and he, asks where Tattoo is, and she's like looking really confused at him, and he leads him to me like a really Jamaican accent, which still confuses the shit out of her. She's like, okay, I'm gonna walk away, and he's just like, okay, I'm getting old. And he catches up with her, and she, asks him how much he knows about what's going on. He's like, "Oh, just treat me like a tourist, all the basics." And she's just like, "Yeah, I don't like tourists, and I'm kind of liking you, so I'm not going to treat you like a tourist." The two then watch as Carter swims in, one of the pens below them, and Russell is shocked then when he sees a shark fin appear behind him and go after Carter. He begins to shout to, warn Carter and get everyone's attention, which causes everyone, to look at this. But as the shark gets close to Carter, in all its bad CGI glory, Carter grabs hold of its fin and swims with it at a speed, as he then pulls out the license plates that was lodged in its mouth before heading back to land and, discussing his theory where the shark came from with Susan. Something about a pet shop in Louisiana where it outgrew the tank. Guy chucked it in the water. There you go, bish bash bosh, as a shark. Something along that line. And
I think it ate, go to the tank and ate its owner.
Something like that. Oh, it was ate its stock, or basically ate out its. Saying ate out its owner sounds really wrong. Shark noshing. Om nom 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 nom. Oh no, it's eating my cock. Oh,
that's later on.
Sounds like a really bad porno. Shark eats man's cock and he survives.
That's what you make.
Hey, then get the camera going.
Oh god.
Now obviously Russell meets Carter, who says what he just saw was incredible. Carter, brushes this off and says that they don't usually eat us, which is true. They only bite if they think you're a fat little seal or a rich suit, giving a little bit of a tension between these two characters.
Tension is going to go away.
Yep, because you're going to die, so, you don't need to have tension, just fucking work together. So Carter then hands him the license plate and walks away, and Janice points out the fact that, you actually got words out of him. He usually just sort of nods at you. So you did well to even like have him talk. And he's like, "Oh, okay, so let's carry on." And he asks about the shark. He just saw that's the Gen 1 shark. And she's like, "Oh no, that's one of the normal ones." And he's like, "Oh, okay." She then takes him to the bigger tank and points out, "There's the Gen 3 sharks, a Gen 1 shark, sorry. There's 3 females in there." And we go underwater and have a bit of shark vision, watching the two before an announcement of a storm catches their attention from Brenda Kearns. I believe that was her name. You two then see all the staff leaving since they run a skeleton crew on weekends because that's a safe thing to do when you got a fucking place full of sharks. We then meet from a distance Jim Whitlock, played by Stellan Skarsgård, who is pointed out to be the most brilliant mind in the whole facility. Until Russell points out the fact that he's pissing into the wind. Because you got a high caliber actor like Stellan Skarsgård, and you go, "Hey mate, let's go mimic pissing into the wind over there." God, how much do you reckon they paid him just to stand up there and just pretend to have a piss, and then just do like a short moment in this film? Because obviously, next to sort of Sam Jackson, he's probably like one of the more like high caliber actors in the movie. So obviously, Sam Jackson's clearly the high caliber.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Stellan Skarsgård, a well-known name for years and years. Obviously, as I say, his whole family's pretty much into acting. As I point out, his son Bill's Pennywise in it. Obviously, Alexander Skarsgård's been in loads of shit over the years. His whole family's pretty much actors. He's obviously, underneath Sam Jackson, the most high caliber. And all he pretty much does for this movie is just take a piss into the wind, and then die. Does that sum it up?
He probably got paid like at least like 30 grand or some shit like that.
God,
like overpriced just for that scene. I'll bet you they run out of money. That's the reason why a certain high caliber actor dies because they couldn't afford to have him for the entire film. That's what I reckon happened. That's why that scene's quite abrupt. Big, powerful.
Abrupt? You mean the one later on, the bad CGI bursting out? That bit?
Yes, that one.
Yeah, they actually, I will point out later on again, they were going to do that practically, but for safety reasons they couldn't. It was going to be done all practical, the film was, but a lot of safety reasons meant they couldn't. 1999, people. Now they would probably do it practically. To an extent, obviously.
Because they had ways to do it.
Exactly. But back then, obviously, they couldn't. Obviously, then they walk away. We then see a glimpse of the storm on the monitor, basically heading towards them. Before we meet Tom Scoggins, who goes by the name Skog the entire movie, played by Michael Rappaport, something like that. I just remember as the guy who mocks Carter for missing with his first shot at the shark. Carter complains that if Skog had done his job in the first place, it wouldn't have to go out there and deal with the shark. And Skog's like, I locked the pens, I did my job, the fish got out another way. Carter then questions the height of the pens before we see 2 fins rise on either side of the pens, obviously one being the tiger shark from earlier on, and the other being the Mako. We then cut inside Aquatica as Janice and Russell head down a lift, where Janice complains about herself making the place sound like a prison. We then cut to Susan, who gets scared by a fish, outside her window because she's shit scared of fish. Fish!
Scared of fish, perfect place to be then.
Exactly. To be fair, the second one copies that. Well, the second one pretty much copies the entire movie, but the second one copies that sort of scene, but actually puts a shark there, and it just looks terrible. The second one is literally just the same first film again, just lower budget, lesser known actors, different kind of shark. That's basically sums up the second one. I'm gonna rip the shit out of that next week, FYI.
Oh god, we're gonna watching that one as well.
I'm gonna rip the shit. Well, there's a trilogy, isn't there?
Oh god, there's 3 of them.
The third one's actually not as bad as the second one. It actually improves on the second one's flaws. And it's got a decent protagonist. To be fair, half the cast of the third one are from the TV series The Last Ship, which is produced by director Michael Bay. Huh.
Gotta sit down and watch it.
Anyway, we then which are we in now? Fish scale the windows. Yeah, she looks at the data on a computer before asking Jim if they dosed the Gen 2 with the serum. Jim tells her that he told Carter to do it as soon as they got the call from her, and it should be ready for tomorrow, but they won't be. And Susan's like, okay, fine. She then takes a needle and basically inserts into like this test shark brain thing she has in her office, which is just there for a jump scare later on. But she does this little thing before we then cut to Carter and Russell, who discuss Carter's job description before Russell asks if Carter's ever done any wreck diving. The tension then rises a bit more. Obviously, it drops a bit later on, but it rises a bit more here when Russell says that Carter was basically a pirate before. And Carter stirs the pot and basically calls Russell a dirty businessman. You know, because you gotta get those jabs in somewhere. 1, 2, 1, 2.
That's definitely true.
We then cut into the kitchen and meet Preacher, played by LL Cool J, and his bird that mocks him at every corner before he fingers the bird in the mouth with cream. Oh, sorry, no, he fed the bird in the mouth with cream. Sorry. It looked like fingering to me.
I mean, that's what you want.
A rumbling alerts him to the fact that it's the shark's feeding time, so we cut outside and watch as they drop the tiger shark, caught from the beginning, into the water with the Makos. Carter swims through like a safe zone in the water thing. It's like a huge like cage system that he swims through. So basically, so he doesn't get eaten. And he watches the Mako shark rip the tiger shark to shreds in more of his films. Not so great CGI. Again, 1999 CGI people. I hope I didn't say too many nines there. We then cut to Brenda, who tells Susan that they're in an emergency on the top deck. So she heads up there, but she sees no one there until everyone jumps out and says happy birthday, because apparently it's a birthday. They all then celebrate where Russell and Preacher meet for the first time. Russell praises his cooking, brother, as he says, while Preacher ridicules him for going up on the mountains, which obviously led to that avalanche. It's like, yeah, what was the point in going up there, brother? And Sam Jackson's character Russell just sort of just laughs it off and just walks off. And it's a shame we didn't get more like conversations between these two, because there's clearly like another bit of tension between these two. Yeah, Sam Jackson's character has a tension for a lot of characters in this movie. And the only one that he doesn't piss off is Janice. I think that's the only one he hasn't pissed off in the entire movie. Everyone else he pretty much pisses off. We then cut to Susan and Carter showing off, a little spark, if you know what I mean, between them. Both as they have this little conversation about life underwater. Yeah, they clearly just want to bang. And they talk about, obviously, his good job at getting the tiger shark. And as I say, they basically just want to fuck. So we'll move on. Russell discusses the sharks with Janice and Jim, who talk about sharks not being able to get cancer, and basically they pump the serum into the sharks to restart the brain cells. Russell praises them for not doing genetic tampering. Because they definitely didn't do it. Because, Mako sharks can definitely get to that big size by themselves.
Definitely not. These Mako sharks definitely aren't the size of a fucking great white. No.
I think it's bigger than the great white, to be fair. I think it's quite big.
Bigger than the great white. Big and still fit for fucking hallways.
Well, the one is. The two are quite regular sizes, to be fair. I don't think the big one actually goes into facility properly. It stays on the outside. It's the other two. It's bidding kind of. It's like a hive mind sort of thing situation.
It's like that one. Like the big one's the alpha.
Yeah.
They're his bitches.
Pretty much. And it's like, hey, bitch, go in there. Go and get them for me. Pretty much like that.
The big one's Gru, and the other two are the minions.
Basically, yeah. And that's better visuals though.
Yeah.
But to be fair, there's less annoying. Wee 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 wee.
Banana.
Banana.
They're the worst creations in all of humanity.
Sorry. Janice points out the flaws in if they did do the genetic tampering. So obviously, basically, it wouldn't work. And we then cut back to Carter, who tells Susan that the sharks hunted in a pack earlier, when they went after the tiger shark. And she's like, "Oh, you're reading too much into it." And he's like, "I'm reading into the fact that the Gen 1 straight up attacked a 25-foot boat." And she doesn't like question this. She's straight away like, "You haven't told Franklin, have you?" Well, which I says Franklin, but obviously Russell. And Carter tells her that he's just a fish keeper, man. I don't do that. I don't, the logistics side's your kind of stuff. And but bringing the shark ahead of schedule is basically a bad idea. And she's like, "Oh, do you like your job, do you?" Which obviously is threatening, but then she sort of turns it back on him. It's like, "Oh, I'm not threatening you. In a sense, what I'm saying here is, if we don't do this tomorrow, we're all out of a job." So she basically turns it back, but clearly she was threatening him directly to keep his mouth shut and do his job. Before obviously she turned it onto all of them just to cover her own tracks.
Obviously, make them all do work, and also make like she wasn't the one that was threatening.
Pretty much.
I should write that down.
CEO of Fate 11 Studios, everybody.
Money.
So obviously the two then split up, and Carter bumps into Skog, where Carter asks if the fences have been raised like he asked, which they have been. So the two have to get drunk, because like it's not like I gotta bring a shark in tomorrow. Let's get shit faced. Woohoo!
Alcohol.
Inside the control room, we hear more about how bad this storm is that's coming towards them. That the Coast Guard's getting involved now. It's like that bad. And we cut then to Preacher, who threatens his bird by telling him that if he basically he'll be on the menu if he doesn't cut out the cheek. But the bird just still says he's got a fat butt. Fat butt, fat butt, fat butt. The bird's like the best part of this movie. I just love the bird, man. Should get more screen time. It should have been like the protagonist at the end saving everyone. He flies out at the end with a harpoon at the end.
It's like fucking Avengers.
Like fucking Falcon flying around. Pulls out fucking two guns. That would have made this movie a 10 out of 10. And it was done all practically as well. It wasn't even CGI. It was all like the bird was all practical. It just gave the bird guns.
It's got like a pistol in its beak.
Fuck you all. We then see Susan in a row, but that's just so we can see her put a necklace on for no other reason. Before we see Carter in his diving gear as he heads off to bring the shark in. Everyone then enters the control room and speaks to Carter as they watch, to their best ability, because they do point out the vision is very bad down there. But they watch him swim through the safety tunnels. The tense music then kicks in because we know something's going to happen. And it does happen. Two of the sharks plow into the sides of the cage trying to get to him, but he points his gun and they back off. And Russell's saying, wait, they recognise that gun. But Jenny's like, oh, that's impossible. They can't swim backwards. Sharks literally can't swim backwards. And he's like, they just did.
These scientists. These sharks that we've, good through science. Yeah, they do something that makes them smart. Oh no, that's impossible, even though we did it to make them smart.
Well, they didn't. It was just the two of them. It's pointed out later. It's just Susan and Jim who fucked with the genetics. No one else knew.
But they knew at least they were doing something to the shark.
As far as they were aware, all they were doing was obviously just doing the serum with them. As far as I can tell, they obviously had no clue the fact that they were fucking with nature. Which, to be fair, you should be able to tell easily. As soon as you get that Mako to that size, you should clearly be like, I feel like something's fucking wrong here.
But they see it doing things like, it's impossible. They shouldn't be doing that. But you can fucking see them doing it, so it's possible.
The thing is, I think what they should have done then is when obviously she's like, that's impossible, I can't do that. She just cuts to like Jim or someone who's looking away from them on, just like, do. But they didn't. Oh shit, what have we done? Basically, Jim and Susan are basically the Ned of the movie. Just turning off the system to fuck over everyone. Accidentally. Allegedly. So they then obviously have no vision because the cameras begin to go down and you've seen that sharks attacking the cameras. So they have no eyes whatsoever. But Carter heads out of the safety. pen into the deep blue. As the group try to get him to respond. We then see a shark approaching him before the group get really worried about him. And obviously contacting him, saying, "Carl, where are you? Answer us, whatnot." But he's smart. He uses the oxygen tank to trick the shark into attacking it, allowing him to shoot her from behind. And Skog then points out the platform is engaged, and basically he's got her. And we then see the shark and Carl rise up from the depths. As Skog is asked, who ordered the fish? Because
what I don't get is, if the shark's supposed to be smart, how can we restrict so easily?
Because it's all pretty colours. I'm like, ooh, what's going on here?
It's supposed to be really smart and create traps and stuff. So why is it?
I feel
so easily
though it's still
duped?
Obviously been obviously smarted up. I feel like the fact that it's still technically a shark, it's still got the shark's flaws. That though it's smart and maybe one side of its head's like, wait, yeah, that's a trick. I'm not going for that. The other side of its head's like, oh, maybe we should go for that though. I feel like it's kind of that situation. It's like the Ghidorah meme with the 3 heads, the 2 smart heads, and the really dumbass head. I feel like it's that kind of situation rolled into obviously this shark's brain. It's got 2 sides fighting for this, like the angel and the devil. The angel's like, don't go to it. It's a trap. And then the devil's like, should get to there. Might be nice to eat.
I'm pretty sure that's not how intelligence works, but okay. I don't think it gives them dual personalities.
Well, you never know. It's never explained. The sharks might be James McAvoy at a split. It might put a wig on at one point and go, hello, guys.
It's like saying the Dominus Rex is like pointing like a normal dance and going, go, and he'll say, it's like, well, I can do my calculations. You're a bitch.
Well, you never know. We don't get to see what happens off camera.
Starts fucking berating the Tyrannosaurus Rex, like,
It sticks its head over its pen. It's got a cigar in its mouth. That's really bad of you. Oh, you're so stupid.
Arms are too small. Ha!
Look at me. I tricked them into getting my own cage. Look at you stuck in there. Got a little top on as well. Really smug bastard.
Yeah. You're dumb as shit. I have long arms.
We should contact Universe and go, hey, you should remake that movie and just do this. I want to see Dominus in a top hat and a cigar in its mouth mocking that T-Rex. Get to it, Universal!
Got human DNA. Make it.
Exactly. He's got DNA. It's fine. Just go and make it. Obviously.
Back to the park, though.
Yeah, obviously, back to the underwater park. We see basically see the shark, and Russell asks what in God's creation, but Jim's like, oh, not his. Which should really click in all our minds going, wait, did he just say what I think he said?
It's like, bitch, I created this. I mean, what? Nothing?
I would say clearly, shouldn't it click in their minds and go, wait, did he just basically say that God didn't make this, we made it? Surely it's God, their minds would go, wait, what did he just say? What? But no one questions it because they're focused on obviously this shark coming out, and then obviously Jim there cracks out a cheeky little smoke. But Janice gives him the angry, put that down. I'm gonna punch you in the face. Look, and he's like, okay, I'll put my smoke down.
Okay.
My one character trope is pissing in the wind and smoking. I'll put the smoke down. Obviously he does, and he does his job instead as he's supposed to. And Carter, who is still next to the shark, points out she's sleeping like a baby. So Susan slowly climbs in with the brain device needle thing she's got, just to basically to point out where she's got a jab. And she goes to approach and put it on, but the shark thrashes, which startles everyone. But Carter's like, bad dreams. And she's then okay, try again. So she heads back in, puts the device on, gets the big fuck-ass needle thing, starts inserting the needle into the shark's brain, which causes her to squirm. And Susan then watches the monitor as she inserts the needle to make sure she gets into the right spot. And when she does, she then obviously pulls out the serum and has this little needle full of juicy serum. And she hands it over to Jim, who basically bottles it before handing it back to her so she can add to the brain cells they have on hand in the the microscope. And obviously when it's put onto the brain cells, they sit back on the computer and watch as the serum reawakens the brain cells, showing that they've done it. They've made the cure for Alzheimer's.
Science.
Science basically. In the air without even tampering with nature.
Oh no.
um,
Oh. Put brain juice on brain. Woo! Heal.
Jim then cracks open his smoke and goes over to the shark to congratulate her, but she awakens and rips his arm off. He then hits the deck and tries to squirm away, going, "Ah!" And they're all like, "Oh shit!" The shark then breaks out of its restraints, causing Carter to dive out of the water, because, being next to a shark is, not the best thing to be doing out there right now. I'm not saying his job description, but that's his whole job description, is being next to sharks. And obviously he dives out because he's going after like the shotgun that's in like a sort of like an in case of emergency break this open. It's basically like a sort of a fire axe sort of situation on the wall, but it's a shotgun. Imagine that in like a fucking building instead of a fire axe, like in case of emergency break this, or like a fire extinguisher. It's just a fucking shotgun fighting fire with a shotgun. It's not going out, and I'm on fire. Oh, that's what it's for. Blows brains out. But obviously, as Carter goes to shoot the shark, Susan hits like a release button, which sends the shark back into the pen, which angers Carter since he needs to kill it. And he probably would have saved a lot of lives if he did. He then hits the radio and tells Brenda they need paramedics right now. As we watch Jim being treated to by Janice as she's holding on to him, and we then see Russell run onto camera as he's obviously trying to help. And for the first instance of a shark trying to attack someone, it was obviously you can clearly see it a mile away. As soon as he gets close, you're like, I feel like he's gonna get it now. But obviously, you probably think, oh, he's gonna die straight away. But weirdly, he doesn't. It just eats his arm and goes. I'm having a smoke now. Imagine if the arm popped out of its mouth and started smoking. That's some good cigarette.
I concur, Dominus Rex.
The shark pops over the pen, and I don't know how to breathe anymore. It falls backwards, dies. Falls into the pen forwards. This is T-Rex like, free meal. Om nom nom nom. Indominus. Idiots. We should remake that movie. Literally, we should just remake it. Be like looks really bad CGI, but instead of CGI, we'll have people dressed in like really like clearly tell outfits.
You kill a dinosaur. You have the Dominus Rex costume.
Oh, let's get those big blow up dinosaur costumes on Amazon, mate.
Yeah.
Let's get loads of them. Anyway, back to the movie. We then see some more very bad CGI in the form of water and waves as a helicopter approaches the facility. God, that looked really bad. The group are now in the elevator and just reach the top as the helicopter nears them. But now we get to see how bad the top of the facility is due to the storm. The badass music then kicks in prematurely, I will say. And it's like, dun, 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 and you're like, oh, they're gonna make it. Trust me, they're not. They obviously Carter charges from the elevator to guide the helicopter's hook down, and obviously as soon as he gets it, the others charge out with Jim's, so they hook him up and send the helicopter away. And they all run back. Carter's pretty much trapped trying to dodge all these waves and whatnot before he manages to get there, and they shut the door and head on down. And they make it all the way back to the computer room before we see the helicopter as having issues with its hook, which gets jammed before releasing and dropping Jim back into the water. This guy's fucked.
It's gonna happen.
Obviously, the hook then starts to move on the water before they can like fix it. It's like, and the helicopter starts whizzing around and whatnot. You're like, you can clearly know what's gone in below. And obviously, it's eventually the group get the camera working in the lab, but as they're trying to contact a tower, all they see is the vision of the helicopter plowing into the sides of the station, blowing up and killing both the two men inside, giving us our first deaths. And the men aren't the only ones who die. Brenda, that random woman on the PA system, also dies.
No, Brenda.
She never got even a chance to. I was gonna say she never got a chance to do anything, but say happy birthday. And obviously, this causes a lot of damage to the entire underwater side of the station, as well as throw Janice into the water before the group are able to drag her back out. Everyone below is revealed to still be alive as they try to get contact on the surface, but Russell's like, "Hey, can someone explain to me what that is out there?" And they look then as they see a shark carrying Jim in her mouth. She releases him and slams him into the glass, causing it to crack. And Russell's like, "Yeah, we need to go. We need to get out of here right now." So they charge out for the room as the glass just bursts open and Jim officially dies. But we get confirmation a bit later on.
It makes sense, right? Like how at the point it releases, the body would just slap the window and then nothing else. And also that glass is designed for pressured water. I'm pretty sure some guy being slapped into it would do nothing.
Shh! We gotta get this movie rolling somehow. We gotta get them in there somehow. To be fair, I don't think that room even actually does it. Yeah, he does. He does later on. Anyway, so obviously we see them all get out of this room and manage to lock the door, and they're fine to an extent, but Janice is having a slight breakdown there for the fact that Jim's dead, which is expected, and pissing in the wind, gone but not forgotten. We then cut to Preacher, who is trying to call someone to find out what the hell's happening, but the rumbling causes him to walk away. We then rejoin the group trying to think our way out, but Skog points out that the elevator automatically closes to stop the flooding, so basically that's not our way out. But we cut back to Preacher, who walks down a corridor and sees water flooding in, and believes what is going on is due to him drinking, so he drops it, and he's like, apologises to the big man upstairs, like, "I know you're trying to stop me from drinking. I'm done. That's it. I'm stopped drinking." And we then see the other group again, and we get to their plan of basically going through the wet labs where the submarine is, and we then recut back to Preacher, who is left alone when his bird flees from the bottom of the stairs, just in time though, because the water floods his floor and sends him flying down the corridor.
Oh no!
And the others then think they hear Preacher pounding against the door, because it's obviously cut like it's gone from him flying through the water to the door knocking, so it's sort of cut that way to make you think also. But then they're like, "Yeah, that's not Preacher." And Susan like, "Oh, it's lab equipment." Carter's like, "That ain't lab equipment. We need to go. We need to go." And obviously they run off through another hatch just as water crashes through the corridor, since that door's now burst open and it's flooded around them. And we then cut above to see more of the facility's destruction on top, obviously what the explosion caused, all the fire and all the whatnot, as a shark fin then enters one of the cracks in the facility to make their lives a living hell. We then cut back to Preacher making his way through a flooded corridor, searching for his bird. That just keeps calling him a dickhead over and over again. So he's like, "Bird, where are you, bird? Bird?" It's quite humorous. It's probably the only humorous parts of this movie that actually lands is the bird just swearing over and over again.
I guess the comic relief.
Bird is the comic relief. No one else is. Everyone else's jokes suck balls. We then see the group bickering about what to do. Russell asks Carter if it was a shark that was doing the breaking of the door down, which Carter's like, "I believe it was." Russell's then like, "Yeah, they're not meant to do that, so... but it's clearly now after us, so what the fuck?" And he's like, "Its size makes no sense whatsoever. So, what the hell did you do to those sharks, Susan?" And she then finally reveals that her and Jim fuck with the shark's DNA, which is why they are bigger, smarter. And this leads to Janice calling her a stupid bitch. But technically, you're the stupid bitch for not realising sooner that clearly they fuck with these sharks.
And also, if she managed to do that, then she's not that stupid.
It's a good point. So Janice is a stupid bitch?
Yeah, they want stupid for not being able to genetically mess with some sharks.
Okay, so Janice is a stupid one. Okay, I got you. Susan then tries to defend her actions. Carter, backs Janice up and he's like, "Yeah, you actually are out of your mind. You're out of your mind basically, and you know how much dynamite has to go off by your hair, like your ears. Sorry, before you hear basically all this crap you're doing. And she's still trying to defend herself here, but Carter points out basically all this didn't save Jim or Brenda or even them. You know, then Russell does the calming thing. He's like, okay, calm down, let's go. Because Russell's now the guy that calms everyone down. That's his new job description. We then rejoin Preacher, who finds a dirty mag in the water and says, please let me get out of here. I clearly think it means he wants to go masturbate somewhere, but moving on. A fin then rises behind him, which causes him to turn around and has to move quick as this fin just plows all the way towards him. And he managed to hide in a room as we then cut to shark vision. Shark vision, shark vision, shark vision. Do 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 do. Do shark division. Nah, we're running out of time here.
That was awfully familiar to another type of
obviously the shark's searching for him, but we then see with normal people vision that the shark misses the room and carries on, which pleases Preacher, who grabs his cross. The group then continues walking, discussing everything before they make it to the sub room and see the sub is fucked. And we then cut back to Preacher, who makes it to his kitchen and arms himself with a fire axe. But as he climbs to a shelf to stay above the water, his bird is perched on top and shits him up. But, he's fine. He managed to regain his balance. He's fine. And he sees the birds landing on a pot behind him. So he's like, come here, bird. Come here, bird. Come the fuck here, bird. And as he gets closer and closer to the bird, a shark bursts out the water and kills the bird.
Yeah.
Bird's dead. Maybe Soddy's gone, but not forgotten.
There's no more fun in the film.
Yep. The shark in the water basically sends... Sorry, the shock in the water then sends Preacher crashing down with the shelf and forces him to basically have to look around for the shark before hiding inside his oven, just missing the shark that went to go and grab him. Obviously, we then cut back to the sub room where they try to figure out a new plan. Janice says they should all swim for it and hope they make it. She then looks at Susan, basically giving her, I hope you get eaten eyes. Russell smartly suggests putting wetsuits on, to stay warm, fight the hypothermia. The right idea, because, he survived a avalanche somehow. Back with Preacher, the shark accidentally turns on the gas on his oven by hitting the switch with its head. He then uses the fire axe he had to cut through the top of the oven while muttering the irony of a cook dying in his own oven. And he just about gets it as the shark smashes through the glass.
Yeah.
He then bursts open the top of the shelf, breathes, the air, not the gas, and dives out before swimming all the way to the door, pulling out his lighter and saying, "You ate my bird," throws his lighter in, blows the shark up, and forces him to dive into the water, for safety from the fire.
And that's when he goes from LL Cool J to LL Big Explosion J.
I thought he was going to say something like LL Fire J.
No.
Or Hot J.
No.
But no, Big Explosion J works as well.
Yes, Muckle Bay.
Yeah. The others hear the explosion, say, obviously, it's like, oh, was that from the surface? But Scog's like, nah, vibrations mean that's from inside the facility. Russell then looks over the pool and Kyle's like, you might want to step away from there, man. But Russell's like, we couldn't make it. But Scog's like, yeah, we won't due to how far down they are, because I believe at this point they're on level 3, is it?
Yeah.
So I think that's... If 60 feet is level 1, they've got to be over 100 feet down. Easily. And they're like, yeah, there's no chance we're doing that. And especially with how quick sharks swim compared to humans, you're fucked, basically. And,
unless, of course, you are Preacher, then it's perfectly slow.
He then removes bags to show there's another way out, a maintenance shaft to the surface, but they don't know how bad the surface is, and if they open the door, it could basically flood the pool really badly. And Susan's like, yeah, I don't like that idea. Let's go swimming instead. And Scog's like, oh, why don't you go swim your own fish then? We're going this way. Obviously, they have a little bicker, but Russell butts in. He's like, okay, I'll finally explain the avalanche here for you. So listen closely. He's like, okay, so it took a week for us to climb out, but at some point, obviously we turned on each other. He's like, there were 7 of us that survived the avalanche, but only 5 got out. And he's like, we made a pact, and I'm breaking it right now. Basically, clearly points out that they killed the other two.
Yeah.
You know, definitely
I
not definitely a clean businessman. That definitely didn't murder two people.
When life gets hungry. Num num num.
Nom nom nom. Person's leg. He then says that we've seen how quick it gets bad. So we're not going to fight anymore. But as he goes to explain the new plan about, sealing off the hatch, a shot bursts through the pool and grabs him, to the shock of not just the characters, but at the time the audience. Because at the time, obviously, if you're not focused fully, like in a movie, if you just sat there just wanting to enjoy it, you wouldn't really think to yourself, "Oh, something's going to happen here." You'd probably just sit back and go, "Okay, what's your plan then?" And then you'd be shocked. But obviously, if you look into it a lot when you're watching it, you go, like, something's going to burst out of that water. It's not standing by that water for nothing. And it does. The shot bursts out.
Yeah, they did foreshadow it.
Yeah, it grabs him. It's all of its very bad CGI monstrosityness. Because Sam Jackson wanted it, physically, but apparently the mechanical sharks were too dangerous to do it physically. So, they had to just do CGI. It slams him around before dragging him down. And we then see the pool go red and two sharks rip poor old Sam Jackson apart. Sam Jackson gone, but not forgotten.
And after that, I stopped paying attention to the
film. Skog then panics and says he's not moving as someone will come to get them, but Carter's like, okay, how much water does the facility take before it, basically fucks up and sinks and snaps and whatnot? And Skog's like, okay, so I'm going to move now because we're going to die. So they all get back up and crack open the door, which at first seems fine, but a big gust of air causes the pool to burst up. They manage to then get into the shaft and shut the door, but a lot of water has already gone in. They begin to climb the ladder to freedom, but when they get so far up, the shark begins to break down the door again. Carter hears this and comes up with a new plan. It's like, okay, I'm going to open level 2, partially flooded. The shark will get flooded into there. It'll buy us enough time to kill it. So as they head up, he heads down with his big brass balls, as Scott calls them. And Carter basically tries to pry open the door with his knife, which he does eventually, but at the cost of his knife because it breaks. And some water comes flooding through. He noticed the shark literally right behind him, pretty much, because you can see the fin. And eventually, the water floods him backwards into the vision of the shark. But he managed to climb to the ladder and get out the way just in time. But the ladder won't save because the rumbling caused it to break. Dangle out of the water. Janice falls in the water, and Carter has to do some monkey style flips to use his legs to dangle down to try and grab her. And he doesn't. And she goes under, then thrusts out towards him inside the shark's mouth. Carter tries to grab her, doesn't get a grip, falls back in, water turns red. The end to Janice. So 6 deaths now. More than Jaws, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I don't think there was many deaths in there.
Jaws only a few.
Yeah, but that's because that made sense. And it didn't have two random helicopter guys just blow up, or a girl, sat in a radio tower just blow up. So technically speaking, we're probably on level with a Jaws-esque kill at the moment. Obviously, at this level of the film, if it wasn't for those 3 deaths. Carter there looks really sad as he asks Skog if he can reach the door, but Susan tries to comfort him ever so slightly. Probably slipping a finger up his ass, but who knows? You can't see off camera. But banging from the door above gets their attention. At first, they think it's another shark, but when it opens, out steps Preacher, who rescues them before shutting the door. Preacher then questions, obviously, are you all that's made it? Before Skog says they can use the stairs since they're now on level 1. But Preacher's like, yeah, no stairs, flooded. Skog's like, you sure? He's like, oh, I'm sure. So Skog's like, give us a goddamn break, which causes the facility to rumble at the worst possible time. And he's like, yep, big man's listening to you. He's like, oh, I better shut up then. And Carter's then like, okay, we're 60 feet from the surface. Best bet of escaping there. And Skog's like, yeah, we're not swimming out. We go here. We can send the generators power, unflood the stairway, get the fuck out of here. And he's like, okay, let's do this then. So they head off to Janice's room. She was a healthy girl, according to Skog, so she's definitely got some batteries somewhere. And obviously this
That's how to make
disgust.
a joke.
I was gonna say, like 5 seconds after she died, she got any vibrating batteries anywhere? And obviously Preacher just looks disgusted. He's like, really? And obviously in the bathroom, Carter's there creaming his arms up, getting his wounds all covered so the sharks can't smell his blood. Smart thinking, Carter. And Preacher then explains Einstein's theory of relativity.
As established, though, remember, they're attracted to wine, not blood.
Oh, sorry, yeah. So as long as you don't pour wine over yet, you're okay. You're okay.
Established.
Wait, they were all drinking the night before. Do you reckon some of them had wine?
Oh shit, no!
It's in the system. Oh my god! Oh my god! They're sweating it out. That's how it's getting them. It's sweating it out. I don't know why I'm doing it like that. It's sweating them out.
They should have ghost cheese.
Obviously, as I said, Preacher then for some reason explains Einstein's theory of relativity, and Skog's like, I've been to like MIT or whatnot, some sort of fancy ass establishment. He's like, that's the best physics example I've ever heard. And he's like, thank you. And the group then leave, but Skog jokingly asks Preach to zip him up before they, bro hug. He's like, hey, Preach, can you zip me up, please? Because Skog's meant to be the comic relief, and he just says like really weird shit at the really weirdest moments. I wonder if he's going to die next.
None.
We then cut to Carter and Skog swimming, chatting about basically one shark being killed, and obviously two are left. Carter then makes Googly Eyes with the. Obviously, they then talk about Carter making Googly Eyes with the doc. Before we cut back to her saying that she needs to get to basically a data from the data room, which was in earlier on with the fish scaring her, and obviously this angers Preacher's like, oh, all this death, and you still want to go and get it. And she's like, well, it's going to be for nothing if we don't get it, or they're going to die just for no reason whatsoever, so I've got to go get it. So yeah, she heads off before we cut back to the other two, as Carter swims off, leaving Skog alone just as the fin rises. We then cut to actually Carter swimming around looking for the generator, but instead he gets jump scared by Jim's dead body, confirming that he's officially dead, even though he's obviously dead by now for the fact he's been underwater for the past how many hours. Because human lungs definitely could take that much water.
I mean, if you try.
Okay, I'll go drain myself. Hold on. I'll be back in about 5 minutes. See if I can see if I can just drink loads of water for 5 minutes without dying.
Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, you try that.
Hold on. I haven't got any water. I got some Pepsi Max. Does that count?
Sure.
I'll do it then. Hold on.
Make sure you're breathing at the same time. That fucking time.
Yeah, it didn't work. I'm still alive. Yeah, obviously he then swims to the top and starts getting really scared, and Skog bursts out of the water and he's like, what the hell's going on? These two basically now agree to do effort together because they're both scared like hell. Before we cut to Preacher, who finds a camera and does a last will video where he reveals his real name is Sherman Dudley. He then talks about stuff he loves and how he tried to be the best husband and father. He then asks, what is there for him to leave behind? Well, first, to make the best omelette, you need to crack an egg. Because that was just random.
It's so sad though as well.
What?
That last name, people think it's from fucking Dudley.
Yeah, but it would have been more hilarious if he did it in a Dudley accent.
He told me shaming him from Dudley. I pretend to be American. They don't look over here. Horrible. Anyways, make a good omelette.
We then cut back to Carter and Skog, who are moving a monitor out the way, because that's the whole reason I went down there, is to move a monitor from the generator. Skog then turns it on, and the two have a little celebration slightly before a shark swims behind Skog and slams him into the generator, fucking up their drying plan, while also killing Skog, only leaving his twitching leg behind.
Later.
Carter then has to swim as quick as he can, and just about makes it out the door without getting eaten. For some reason, the shark just swims away from him at the last second. Doesn't even miss him, it just swims away.
It's like, fuck that shit. I want to go with the boot.
Pretty much. Susan, on the other hand, begins to walk through a flooded corridor before we then see Preacher and Carter reunited. Susan then finally makes it to her research room and shuts the door, because that's a smart thing you should do. You should definitely not check if there's any sharks already in there.
That would be smart.
Preacher then obviously realises Skog is now gone. He's like, "Damn you, Skog!" Before Carter asks, "Where is Susan?" Before obviously then cut back to her as she's looking around the room. You know, for any threats, even though she's already locked the door at this point. So if there's anything in there, she's probably fucked. And then she makes it to a cabinet, unlocks it, searches for the research, but suddenly a fin rises behind her. And oh wait, no, it's not. It's just that fake shark thing from earlier. We've all been duped. Duped, damn it, duped.
We've been duped.
Turns around, another shark appears. This time, the real deal. And she has to basically dive out the water. So you dive through the water behind a table thing, like a desk cabinet thing. And the shark sort of bashes it. She then managed to get to a smaller table before falling in and having to climb onto a shelf, dropping her data into the water. Oh no, I better reach in and try and grab it.
Oh no.
Shark burst out.
All my data on my floppy disk.
Shark burst out. Shows you all this movie is fucking floppy disks. Shark bursts out and tries to basically get her, but she managed to get away from it and stands up straight, where she notices a pair of cable, and she slightly breaks it, and then has an excuse to give this movie's male viewers a woohoo moment as she strips down to her underwear and places the wetsuit under her feet. Well, the wetsuit thing, I think it's just in case there's an electrocution moment, so it stops her from frying. But
she could have just stood on it or something. Oh god! I mean, he was obviously it was there just to have.
Whoa! Wait, to be fair though, it's better than just randomly having a Jessica Biel, was it? Randomly have a wet t-shirt every 5 seconds. It's better. It's better excuse than that, to be fair, because this actually had plot purposes.
Yeah, it was only really there though, just so that
men can go whoa.
They have no. You can't pay attention to anything unless it's like something revealing.
It's like, oh, there's not been like a really good death in this movie. Oh, boobs! Whoa!
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Obviously, there's a shark bursts out the water. She throws the cable into its mouth, killing it. Obviously, the second small shark, leaving the big mama left. And she then looks sad at the data being destroyed. I've noticed something. Obviously, a lot of the deaths in this movie are kind of reminiscent of Jaws deaths, like the shark-wise. So we had the the electrocution death from the second movie here.
Yeah. Boom, boom.
Boom, boom, multiple times, like 1 and 3 and 4. I wish they'd come up with some more inventive ways to kill sharks.
I know, yeah.
Like shark versus shark, send another shark to kill another shark.
Well, that kind of did happen.
Yeah, it did earlier on.
With the tiger sharks,
Yeah, but I mean, the one of the bad sharks. I mean, or like as you said, in Jaws 3, an orca just appear and just battering the shit out of a shark.
Oh yeah, still want that. I still want that.
Well, as I said, there is a film coming out. Well, it's supposed to be coming out at some point in the next few years where that's an actual thing.
Yeah, and my lawyers will be in touch.
Before we then cut to the other two catching up with her, and obviously giving her a brief situation of what's now going on because everything fucked up, and the group make it to another hatch and rig up a fire extinguisher and float so that it can distract the shark because pretty colouring, and this will obviously allow them to swim up. So Carter's like, okay, I'm gonna have to flood the room because there's any way to equal the pressure. So with the room flooding, Preacher gives them a non-conventional religious speech before they open the hatch, and it's something like 2 demon sharks down, 1 fucking to go, or something like that.
Get in, motherfuckers.
It's very non-conventional. I'm pretty certain if that was said in church, you'd have them all going, my gosh. Then again, it's kind of reminiscent of the Kingsman church speech, but without the homophobic slurs. We then obviously have them all swim out, fire extinguishers go off, then make it to the surface. Shark's got the extinguisher for a few seconds before then going after a Preacher, and it does. It grabs him, takes him for a little swim. Carter tells Susan to swim as fast as they can to basically safety. So while Preacher's getting dragged around, he uses his cross to stab the ever-living fuck out of the shark before he does the smart thing and actually lodges the cross into its eye, causing it to release him. and allowing Carter to obviously drag him out of the water onto safety. And obviously the three now on safety. Carter stands in the wreckage of Aquatica because obviously with daylight we can see how fucked the whole thing is. And obviously while he's standing up, Susan tends to preach his wounds and she's just like tells Carter that it'll be fine, but as long as we get out of here. And then Carter notices something. He notices obviously the fence is quite low now.
Yeah.
And he realizes, wait, the sharks have actually been hurting us. The entire time they wanted us to flood every single room to make sure the facility flooded enough to send them to the surface to allow the top part of the fence, the non-titanium part, surely to God you'd make it all titanium, to allow the shark to obviously be able to burst out. And Susan then is finally agreeing that, okay, we need to kill her before she gets into the ocean. And at this point, Carter now finally, in the last 20 minutes, finally name drops the movie. He's like, all she wanted to do was go to the deep blue sea. Name dropped! Maybe if that was the end credit, there just rolls the credits. Wait, what happened?
It's better off saying that, let's be honest.
Mate, you gotta kill the sharks. You gotta have a happy ending.
Happy ending would be turning this film off.
Carter then rigs up his spear, which is what a harpoon thing again, but he calls it a spear, and tells her when he hits basically the shark that she needs to grab the cable, hit it onto an electric current, and the shark go boom boom. And the music then kicks in, not prematurely this time, as the final act happens as Carter goes after the shark, but due to her being so far away, because she's obviously smashing into the fence trying to rip it open, he obviously is unable to hit her. Susan then says she can get her with live bait, so she cuts open her hand, dive on in. And
that metal shard, fucking those tetans from that.
Well, it doesn't really matter anything, does it? Because what's going to happen in a minute. And to speed that up, then she swims out to Carter's anger and worry. The shark goes for her, causing her to swim away, and she tries to climb up, but the handles on the sides of the wall snap off, and she's like, "Oh shit!" And Carter then dives in, drops the harpoon, spear thing, obviously, dives in to save her. But as he dives in, he watches she's killed by the shark, giving her 8th victim of the movie, and the tetanus does not matter now.
Oh well.
The shark then goes after Carter, who dodges its bite and rides the side of it like it did at the start. The music kicks in even more as Preacher grabs a spear gun and sees the battery, so obviously now knows what he has to do. So he takes aim at the shark, and with Carter's encouragement of shoot it, Preach, he straight up shoots it through the fin and through Carter's leg. Carter then obviously yells like, "Ah! Just blow it, God damn it, blow it!" And Preach is obviously, he's got the cable in his hand, he's like contemplating, do I blow it? Carter's on it, do I blow it? I'm gonna blow him up, do I blow it? And we then cut underwater as Carter obviously managed to grab hold of the fence because the shark managed to get through the fence, before we then watch Preacher go, fuck it, tink, boom, because the shark now blows up. And Preacher's then like, oh no, oh fuck, he's gone. But then Carter comes out of the water, showing that obviously grabbing the fence actually saved his life, because grabbing hold of it allowed the harpoon to rip out of his leg and the shark to swim away. And the shark is dead. All 3 sharks are gone. Woo! And obviously Carter then makes the platform and complains about Preach having a 45-foot shark to hit. This is definitely bigger than a great white, Hayden. Because I'm pretty certain the shark in Jaws maximum length was about 27 feet. I'm pretty certain, if I remember correctly. So this is definitely double the size of Jaws. And he's like, okay, 45 feet and you still hit me. And he's like, well, I could let it eat you. And he's like, can I ask you a question, Carter? There was just 3 sharks, right? And Carter's like, yeah, obviously, why? He's like, no reason. And Carter just looks at his feet and he's like, yeah, just in case, even though, surely to God he would know, for the fact that he's the expert. Unless they think then maybe another shark got into the facility during all this, because obviously there's holes in the facility, so maybe it's swimming in. Who knows? Obviously they sat back and they point out that the next shift's coming. She hear honk, 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 honk. And Carter's then like, okay, I'll quit this job, I'm done. And I think Preach's like saying something like, oh, take me back to the ghetto. And Carter's like, amen, brother, amen. As the Deepest Bluest. My Hat is Like a Shark's Fin by LL Cool J
Yeah.
himself kicks in for another modern killer animal movie that ends with a song about the goddamn animal the movie's based on. Bait, Rogue, Craw, and then Deep Blue Sea. All four had a song about it. Bait obviously was like something about the sharks having pretty teeth. Rogue was Never Smiled Like a Crocodile, was it?
Yeah, I think so.
Craw was See You Later, Alligator. After War, Crocodile. I actually watched that the other day. I watched it on Christmas Day. There was nothing else on. I thought, fuck it, I'll watch this. And obviously, Deep Blue Sea now has Deepest Bluest, which, to be fair, of all of them, it's probably it's probably my favourite of the end credit animal songs. I don't actually mind it.
Even compared to Sharknado.
Oh no, yeah, sorry, Shark. Oh, fuck that, Sharknado. Shark, do, go, 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 go. Oh god, we still haven't finished watching all them together, have we? I think we got through 2, didn't we?
We got the first and second one.
Yeah, it gets even weirder. There's like dinosaurs later on, but anyway, that pretty much ends the movie, and that is it. So, time for the first overalls of the year, Hayden.
Yeah, and it's not good to me.
That sounded even better for the fact it was all like muffled. You're going, yeah, that's not even good for me. It made it sound even better. So for me, I think Deep Blue Sea is a fun late night shark movie. For the fact it's obviously between Jaws and this, there hasn't been like, apart from Jaws 2, there hasn't been like any sort of like high caliber shark movies that have actually been interesting to watch. Because a lot of them are obviously either like TV movies or like really shoddy films. But I think it's very unique, like plot and sense around the fact that it's around mako sharks. Because a lot of times films, obviously as you say, great whites or bull shark. So it's nice that it's makos. I know this plot is basically Jurassic Park but underwater, but I didn't mind it. As I say, the plot makes sense being that for the fact that it's got Sam motherfucking Jackson in it. The acting, as you say, is kind of like hit and miss at times. It has its moments where it's good, and it has its moments when it's a bit cringy and like, why would you say that? And which you usually find in these, Hollywood shark movies. There's usually a few moments here and there you're like, really? And oh, that makes sense. Like, stuff like that, but obviously, that's the one thing that's used to sell these movies is obviously the high caliber actors, which
Okay, Sam Jackson.
pretty much.
Not even a fucking film.
The shark CGI is probably one of the down points for this movie entirely because it just looks bad. As the scene, especially when Sam Jackson dies, that looks really bad. But as I said earlier, I'll give them props for wanting to do it practically. But as you say, the danger of the mechanical sharks meant they couldn't do it. Talking the mechanical side of it, apart from that one scene which I can't remember off the top of my head, you said, I think the practical sharks do look well built and do look good. I need to look back at that rubber scene just to confirm that.
Yeah. I mean, like, shark's fucking black. Like, this just looks wrong. It looks like an orca with slippery rubber skin.
As this film kind of reminds me of Bait in the sense that the CGI was wank, but the practical effects looked good. And not just practical effects, I mean like the set effects and all that, like the on-set location and whatnot. Because obviously Bait was all in that supermarket, which obviously isn't that difficult to do, but they still made it work really well. And this is obviously this really high-tech for 1999 underwater facility, which looks decent because obviously they could have just done a lot of it green screen or whatnot, but obviously the water for certain far away night shots they did. But I mean, for the fact they did a lot of it practically, you have to give them props for that. What else we got? I like this scenes with LL Cool J when he's walking through the water and the fin comes up behind him, that nicely lit room. I did like that look of the scene. The score is decent, which you tend to find in these movies. It tends to obviously be alongside the actors another way of selling this movie. Obviously, it's no Jaws soundtrack obviously for shark films, but I still think it's got a decent obviously tune to it. You're like, okay. Apart from the ending, which does sound like a fucking Jaws soundtrack. The build to it though does sound quite unique and decent. What else we got? I think the deaths though, a lot of them obviously the straightforward, obviously not showstopper deaths. Similar to Bait, obviously they're sort of like quick, done and done. There's nothing like dragged out, it's just like straight up, boom, gone. Obviously the one exception being the Sam Jackson death, since it came, as I said, out of nowhere, which makes you go, holy shit! But obviously again, CGI made it look bad, but I think the shock factor leveled it out for me. For the fact it was just shocking when I first watched it. I was like, wait, did they just kill Sam Jackson off? No way! But as you say, the CGI sort of drains it down a bit. The shark deaths, as I said earlier, were pretty much explosions and executions, so, meh. But I did enjoy the shark's death in the kitchen. I thought that was quite fun. For the fact that, obviously, this preacher fighting his way out of his own fucking oven, sorry. And obviously had to blow it up that way. I did find that kind of fun. And I think that pretty much covers my points. So for the first Chat Cave rank of the year, I give Deep Blue Sea a very low 8 out of 10. Improved CGI, and obviously, you say better acting, and maybe that rubber scene, which I need to look into, would get it higher for me. But like I say slap bang 8. I might push it down a bit.
Well, I'd probably say that because of all the like shark films you've been making me watch, it's probably affected why I find this like dull. It feels like samey, like it just feels like every other shark film. Like the deaths are pretty much exactly the same as. There's a lot of references. There's even this scene with the same kind of like POV shot. It all just looks near. There's some really annoying, like slow motion zooming on the face where things are happening. That is just very pretentious. I will admit, just me. Well, like dull, trying to be better than they are. Kind of. Why Sam even like accepted the film?
Oh, he's done worse than this. He's done worse than this. There's some films you don't want to ever see him in. He's done worse than this. Sometimes you're just like, what did you do that? This is actually a decent film that he did. Don't ever watch Cell. Cell is just dog shit.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it, but it was one of those, like, I was able to watch it, but I refused. I want to watch it again. Those films. Music felt generic, really. The end bit was kind of funny. The end. I think after samey. Like I said, a bit of comedy as well. The comic relief character wasn't even a comic person, it was a fucking parrot. That died. And Sam Jacks died. Yeah. It was just naff. If you like this film, well, so I'm going to give it 10.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. What was that bit?
So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10.
So the same as Jaws 3D?
Yes, it was on the par with that. That's at least it's not the fourth one, but
I believe that gives Deep Blue Sea a Chat Cave overall rating of 6. 6 slap bang in the middle of that, I think it is. I believe it is. Hayden, do your maths. I swear it's 6.
It'd probably be 7. 7.
It's 7? I would have said 6. It's 4. I would have said 6.
No. Hey, I think I'm wrong.
Yeah, I would have said 6 because obviously, if you think about it, it's one number between each.
Yeah, 6.
Yeah, I thought it would be. So, yeah.
I kept saying 6. I was doing 8 plus 6. Kept saying fucking 6.
So yeah, that gives Deep Blue Sea the first Chat Cave overall rating of the year, which is now a clean slate, by the way. It restarts every year. a solid 6 out of 10. So my question of the day is: would you like to see more movies based on sharks that aren't just great whites or bull sharks, which is obviously basically the other shark species that's overdone in movies in most of the days? Obviously, because Mako is very unique for this movie. I think it only ever been done once before this, and I swear it's a film called Mako: Jaws of Death. So it's obviously only been done twice, which obviously compared to great whites has been done a fucking million times, and bull sharks been done a lot as well. So would you like to see more like unique shark species in films? And if so, what kind of species would you be thinking of as an antagonist?
This would be a really easy question. Yeah, I'd be happy not seeing any more shark films.
Too early in the month for that. Way too early in the month for that.
Seriously. This is the fucking first one. I really don't want to continue watching the rest.
I say it goes down, then goes slightly up in my point. Then the last two films I got at the end of this month are actually obviously more recent, very recent shark movies. Which one you've already seen, and the other you haven't seen, I don't think. It stars Ryan Reynolds' wife.
Why are we letting you choose?
Because I'm the host and I don't trust you anymore.
The shark.
Mate, it's one month a year. Get this out of the way with. That's it. We're done till next year. Get this month out of the way with. That's what I did at the start of the year. We started this show with shark movies. We're ending this. Sorry, we're starting this shark. Starting this year. I'll get my words out with shark movies. There.
Starting this year, a shark movie. Yeah.
Okay, that's okay, fair enough. I can't think of maybe Hammerhead Shark. That'd be interesting. That's not done too much. So yeah, that's it for Chat Cave podcast.
If you make a fucking shark joke, I'll kill you.
I swear to God, I'm not gonna. Join us next week as we continue the adventure into the Deep Blue Sea as we discuss the dogshit movie that is Deep Blue Sea 2. But until then, I've been your host, Drinking Thomas Hughes.
I hate life.
And this has been Chat Cave podcast. I got a shark joke coming this way, but
Better not.
Hayden, motherfucker.